Burnt Marshwiggle, hosted by Joshua David Ling and Alexander Robertson. A long-form podcast about metaphysics and swampy stuff. Whenever the heck they want to make one. Here on the Poets at War Creative Network.
I'm a burnt Marshwiggle, but my spirit's lit. Realities are real, but I won't quit. Imagine the real, I choose what I feel. Naughty in my heart, that's the realest deal.
Hello?
There you are. Yep, I can hear you now.
Great.
How we doing?
Oh, doing well. I am just going through a couple of computers and trying to get them all up to current spec as far as drivers and all that jazz. So,
Old computers or what?
I would call them old computers, but I think the oldest one is from like 20, like maybe 2012.
Okay.
So old for computers, not old in the grand scheme of things.
Right. What
Yeah.
are they for? If you don't mind me asking.
Gaming.
Okay.
Yeah, no, don't. Of course. No problem asking at all. Just trying to update. Luke bought a laptop from his brother, and his brother is a little bit of I'm really not sure how to say this because he is my friend, but also he's a touch of a jackwagon.
Oh, fun.
And by a touch, I mean really, really jackwagony a lot of the time. But he wouldn't give him the password and forgot the answers that he used for the security questions because he makes it a habit to just always make them up on the spot.
Gotcha.
So, yeah. So we had to completely like hard reset the entire thing, like without the password, factory reset, all of that. Ugh. And now I'm working on driver updates. And then the other one is old computer that Dad, when did we get the Dell? When did we upgrade from the old HP to the Dell? 2015, 2016?
Mm-hmm. So they're
No.
computers at your parents' house?
Yeah.
Gotcha. Hi to your parents. Hi to your family.
Joshua says hi.
Hi, Joshua.
Dad says hi back. I'll say hi to the rest of the family after. I was gonna say because we got the HP like as soon as we moved in. We got the HP in 2011 when we moved in, or maybe 2012. We got the HP pretty soon after we moved here. That was the Mad Dog chassis, the like custom built one. Whenever you said that, and then we got the HP, and then it was not a great computer. Yeah, and then I think like 5 years later or so 2015 2016 time period, or 2016 2017 time period, we got the Dell. And that sounds about right. I think that we had the Dell for like 3 years before we got the Cube. Yeah, that sounds about right. So the other one is a Dell from 2016, 2017, somewhere around there. And it was perfectly functional. It had a 750 in it, which let us do some light gaming, not quite retro games, but old games. So
Yeah.
your Half-Life 2, your Portal, all that jazz ran perfectly adequately on it. And then we upgraded to a legit gaming computer, which is the one that we have right now. And it is still a rocking computer after 4 years. It's
Great.
got a like AIO water cooler on it, Ryzen 7, 2070 Super. Like it's
Yeah.
several generations old, and it's kind of showing its age if you try to run something that came out like last year or later on it.
Right.
But it's a good computer. Um, so we've got that one. Then, so what I'm doing now is updating Luke's and trying to wipe all of the old files off of the Dell.
Mm-hmm.
But the problem is the Dell was kind of our catch-all file holder, so it is full of
Yeah.
all of the random crap and not organized in any way, shape, or form. So I'm just doing a factory reset on that one as well.
Gotcha. Makes sense.
So, yep, it's fun. I really enjoy doing it. This is like the environment that I thrive in. I would actually probably be a pretty good tech support dude.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but uh, yeah, but it's just a long process to get this
Yeah.
stuff up and running again.
I hear you. So, couple things, and then I'll ask about your Christmas. We well, okay. So, do you want to hear about OBS or Braden first?
Braden.
Braden, we had a conversation today, and I was recording because I was stress testing my OBS stuff, which I'll get to. But we ended up having a good 55-minute what will be a Burt Marshwiggle episode. So that's in the can.
Oh, cool.
Yep. So that was good. It was mostly about magic stuff. You know what he's been puzzling through in the Brood. You know, that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And it was good. It was a really good conversation. So that was cool. Yeah, he's agreed to be someone that I can call and talk to about my random stuff when you're busy
Cool.
and other people are busy and stuff. So that's cool. And of course I'm doing the same for him. So the OBS stuff. So you know about the broadcast failing.
Yes.
And all that happening. So I have completely overhauled my OBS, but I say overhauled. I didn't delete anything, but I overhauled it by first starting to change to a 720p canvas, because I said, okay, it's time to start taking the audio forward element seriously without completely doing away with the video. And so we went down to 720p. That fixed a lot of it. Then I stripped out the videos, the video intros, outros, and commercials, and changed them all to MP3s.
Mm-hmm.
I have switched it up so it's much more full screenish as to what's going on, while still maintaining the cool backgrounds that I had made. And I have a working Ollie puppet now.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Poets at War. I am doing this voice live, speaking to Alex. Here we are. So, there you go.
And
Wow.
So that's working, and Ollie actually like pops up in the left corner and moves with my voice, right?
Very cool.
So we have a working Ollie puppet. We also have I also stripped it to where I'm not doing a whole bunch of there's literally like two options. I can have literally, well, three. No. Okay. So I have my landscape monitor, my big one, constantly monitored as an activity is what I call it. It's not an OBS thing, but basically like I have the option of screencasting or having my webcam or both, and then like moving my webcam, like just dragging it around the screen. So it's super, super simple. And so anything I want to share, I can do it that way. And I'm kind of embracing the, okay, I want to pull something up. Let me figure out how to do that with my stream, because I used to think that was unprofessional. Now I'm thinking it's interesting. And so that's something that I'm doing, and I think you're going to like what you see. You should be able to, let me go ahead and test one thing here. For people who are listening, this will be the the Burnt Marshwiggle intro. You won't be able to hear us, but we should be able to talk to each other. So let's try it.
This is Burnt Marshwiggle, hosted by Joshua David Ling and Alexander Robertson. A long-form podcast about metaphysics and swampy stuff. Whenever the heck they want to make one. Here on the Poets at War Creative Network.
I'm a burnt Marshwiggle, but my spirit's lit. Realities are real, but I won't quit. Imagine the real, I choose what I feel.
Changed, and now we just came back live. I just saw us come back live. I'm speaking and it's coming over. But when it changes to us being muted, it actually turns the stuff that's on my screen black and white.
Okay,
so like Discord and everything is black and white. And so what we can kind of do is sort of like a Muppet Show kind of a thing. I don't know how else to put it, where we're all in our little boxes and like the theme song's playing, the intro's playing, and Ollie's doing his thing. And so it doesn't change the stage at all. It doesn't go to like cutaway or do like a full screened video element thing. It's more like an actual podcast based visuals, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So you'll see it on the recording, but that was that. I want to hear about your Christmas.
Give me 1 second. We're
Sure, no
about
problem.
to head out from mom and dad's, so I'm just giving some instructions on what to do
Sure, not a problem.
with the computers.
Mm-hmm. You know what? We'll test the commercials.
Ladies and gentlemen, you heard the man. Commercials.
Are you looking for thought-provoking Christian perspectives that bring unity across denominations? Then you'll want to check out Logosophia magazine. As a free online interdenominational publication, Logosophia publishes a variety of creative works like articles, stories, and poems on different theological themes each quarter. Their goal is to have respectful conversations that highlight our shared beliefs outlined in the Apostles', Nicene, and Athanasian creeds, as we clarify our differences. So if you want to dive deeper into your faith while learning from other Christian expressions, subscribe to Logosophia magazine today on their website or listen to their podcasts. We look forward to journey.
Meet the Brood, Brendan Sunshine.
A professional videographer and video editor, Brendan mainly works with Christian organizations. Brendan is a visual storyteller. He taught himself drawing, painting, comic writing, 3D modeling, animation, game design, and writing, among a myriad of other topics.
To see more of Brendan's stuff, check out his YouTube channel, Enchanted Cosmos Studios, and stay tuned to Poets at War.
Hi, I'm Brendan Sunshine, and you're watching.
Are you looking to turn your book into an audiobook? Look no further than Joshua David Ling, your go-to professional audiobook narrator and producer. With his captivating voice and state-of-the-art equipment, Joshua delivers audio experiences that will keep your listeners hooked from start to finish. Using his top-of-the-line microphone, Shure SM7B, and professional audio editing techniques, Joshua ensures every word is crystal clear and every emotion is perfectly conveyed. Whether you're crafting a thrilling novel or an insightful nonfiction work, Joshua's versatile talents shine through. From character voice acting to technical narration, Joshua's expertise covers a wide range of genres and subjects. He's worked with respected names like Founders Press, Ian Wilson, Freddie Morales, and many more, proving his ability to meet and exceed client expectations. But Joshua offers more than just voice. His collaborative approach means your vision stays at the heart of the project, resulting in an audiobook that truly represents your work. Ready to take your book to the next level? Contact Joshua David Ling today at joshuadavidling@gmail.com or call or text 770-814-1849. Don't let your story go unheard. Let a true bard's voice bring it to life. Hi, I'm Joshua David Ling, and if you haven't yet, you should check out The General's Report. That's my show where I explore life's deeper questions through poetic essays. Each month, I craft reflections that bridge the gap between art and philosophy, examining everything from the power of storytelling to the nature of reality itself. My goal is to take complex ideas and transform them into something both beautiful and accessible. The General's Report isn't just another podcast. It's a monthly journey through ideas that matter, presented in a way that engages the mind, the heart, and the imagination. Whether you're fascinated by philosophical discourse, artistic expression, or the mechanics of storytelling, there's something here for you. Join me on the first Friday of every month as we explore these themes together through the power of poetic essay. You can find The General's Report on your preferred video or podcast platform. Let's discover something meaningful together.
In the heart of Atlanta, a city teetering on the edge of chaos, 4 extraordinary individuals rise as the guardians of Atlanta, an unstoppable force against the encroaching shadows. William Crusader Avery, a knight with unwavering faith, leads this divergent team, joined by Cirrus Cyclone Jones, a weather controller gifted with angelic power. Bobby the Great Phantasma Carter, a master illusionist capable of bending light itself. And Amira Mirror Kadru, a seemingly innocent young woman with the ability to copy powers and knowledge. As part of the coalition of underground resistances against global empire, Courage, they stand as city's last line of defense against political machinations and ancient evils seeking to plunge Atlanta into darkness once more. Brace yourself for a thrilling journey into the world of Courage universe, where epic poetry meets superheroes in Guardians of Atlanta, an electrifying serial releasing continuously in ebook, MP3, and animated video form.
Hello, I'm Sarah Levesque, Editor-in-Chief of Logo Sophia magazine. I would like to invite you to explore our Pilgrim's Journal of Life, Love, and Literature, both in visual format and in podcast format. Our goal is to help bridge the gaps between different Christian denominations and traditions. Please visit our website at logosophiamag.com to read or listen to stories, articles, poetry, and more, all for free. We look forward.
Now is the time.
And now we're back on Poets at War.
So I'm very happy, and I'm going to be able to stream more. That was another thing. Before your Christmas thing, I'll just say I'm going to start trying to do more generals reports, the vloggy ones / maybe the vloggy ones and premiering the poems. Try to do some of those live. And do Jubal's Wardrobe live, and just start getting used to doing lives instead of trying to engineer everything to be perfect beforehand. So,
fair enough.
But yeah. So how was your Christmas?
Our Christmas was really good. We spent the night down at spent the night of Christmas Eve into Christmas morning down at Debbie's parents' house.
Mm-hmm.
So that was good. She got to do Christmas with her family, all that jazz. Sorry, John.
You're good. It's all good.
Then we went up and did Christmas with my parents at 10, actually closer to 11. And then we did our Christmas at our house, which was cut short because there was I didn't understand what times things were supposed to be happening. And so I didn't leave enough time for that to be everything that we had wanted it to be.
Right.
So we did that, and then we went down to my grandparents' house for that Christmas party, and they had something like 27 people there over the course of the night. So
Right.
we had Alex Green's family, and then the Smiths, and some family friends over, and that was really great. Braden came over, so it was fun.
Excellent. Glad that went
Yeah.
down.
Yep.
We had, let's see, we mainly just went to, well, we had ours early. I went ahead and actually woke them at 5 because we had an 8 o'clock appointment as far as her family's Christmas. And we knew that the kids would want to do ours first and then go over. And so that's what we did. And so we did a 5 o'clock wake up, which isn't too hard when kids are excited about Christmas. And that was good. And then we went over to Casey's family, and yeah, it was generally just pretty chill most of the day. They do a big Christmas Eve dinner kind of thing, and then it's kind of just playtime, fun time for the kids on Christmas Day. So
yeah.
So yep, that's what went down with us.
Cool.
What
Very cool.
Yeah. What
sounds like you guys had a good Christmas.
Yeah. But yeah, no, I figured we'd catch up, and then I have a bunch of ideas for topics, but I just wanted to see if there's anything you're thinking about lately that you've been like wanting to delve deep on. Just because it's been a minute since we've talked, and there's so much going on in the nonsense spheres with the Ogden Moscow wars.
Come on.
And then there's so much going on with
so
AI,
dumb.
and then there's the I don't know if you've even heard about this yet, but the fog that everyone's been having that everyone thinks is smart fog. As far as conspiracies,
the fog was insane. We drove through that fog on the way to Kansas, and nearly caused a 4-car pileup, including a semi truck.
Not fun. But yeah, I'm just throwing some ideas out there. We can talk about whatever, but I wanted to hear what you had.
Yeah, I have been intentionally not listening to, honestly, any podcasts at all. The podcast that I've listened to every single episode of and have been listening to since I got my phone in 2018 for the first time, I have stopped listening to.
Same.
Because I'm so bloody tired.
I'm still listening to Haunted Cosmos just because like it's enjoyable. But I did listen to their long King's Hall that they did just to hear what they had to say. Yeah. And I thought it was well done.
I want to go listen to that because I've met Brian Savay. I like him.
Did you know he's a year younger than me?
That doesn't surprise me. I've met both of you. I buy that he's like a year younger than you.
It just surprises me, but go ahead.
But like, I will eventually go back and listen to that. This entire thing seems so freaking insane, though.
Yep, it is.
Like, I don't know. I feel like Troy in that one Community GIF where he just walks in with the pizza box and the entire room is burning and Jeff is throwing the water and Pierce is shot in the leg and it's like, Roxanne.
When you said Troy, you know what my mind went to?
What? High School Musical?
Yep, I was thinking specifically the third one where he's like, I don't know where to go. What's the right thing? I want my own dream. So bad I'm gonna scream.
I have successfully avoided watching the third High School Musical. Correction. I have successfully avoided watching any High School Musical except for the first one for the first 22 years of my life.
Okay, second one is not worth your time. Second one is not worth your time. Third actually had a budget, and they actually tried to wrap the thing up with dignity, and I think they succeeded. It was actually pretty good. As far as that goes.
See, I hated the first one.
For being a High School Musical. Yeah, well, I mean, it's a Disney Channel original movie. There's nothing particularly fancy or special about it, but I don't think there's anything offensive about it. It's just a High School Musical. And then it became a sensation, made no sense. And then I think people were just so starved for musicals at that point, to be honest with you, in 2005. Yeah. People were like, wait, we really liked the Renaissance. What happened? And we'll take the Disney Channel original movie. I know you muted yourself for whatever reason, but I'm just going to continue to talk for a second.
Yeah,
But yeah, no, the third one, they actually tried to wrap up the characters' stories pretty well and give them, you know, a proper send-off. And I think they did a good job. The second one is literally them going, hey, we made all this money. Let's go on vacation and make a movie.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's not like it's Kraft mac and cheese. It's nothing special. None of it is. But like nothing's offensive either.
Yeah,
it's the hype that's offensive.
The hype is offensive to me. The hype is incredibly offensive to me. The bad songwriting is also offensive to me. Joshua, about High School Musical. The bad songwriting is also offensive to me. Like one of the songs that was one of the songs that was in our wedding playlist, wedding reception playlist was it Can I Have This Dance?
Yeah,
Can I Have This Dance from High School Musical 3?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Debbie sent me the like High School Musical 3 version.
Yeah.
And I nearly vomited whenever I heard it. It is so aggressively poppy. I absolutely cannot stand it. Then she sent me the like High School Musical, the series version of it.
No, none of that. Get that out of here.
That's like soft acoustic version, and I'm like, I like that better.
Well, right. Yeah, I was talking about the series. I was talking about the series, not the songs. Yeah. But yeah, no. Get that series out. That series does not exist in my brain.
The concept alone, the like 3 layers of meta that exist in the concept, I find to be quite amusing. Personally speaking.
That's fair.
Yeah. I have not seen a single frame of the show. I just know the name of it, and I find that funny. I will continue in the state of blissful ignorance.
Mm-hmm. I was gonna say that whole like meta leveling thing that you were talking about reminds me of my favorite thing to bring up when it comes to like, this is really truly a metaphysical question, so it works on this podcast, but 100 calorie mini golden Oreos packs. At what point is it not an Oreo? Oh, wait, no, Cakesters. I forgot Cakesters. 100 calorie pack, mini golden Oreo Cakesters. At what point is it not an Oreo?
At that point, it's not an Oreo. It is something that is sold by the company Oreo.
Right.
It isn't an Oreo in itself, though.
And Oreo's owned by Nabisco, which is owned by some other conglomerate now, one of the big Black Rocky type things. So it's
really,
yeah, the Nabisco's been bought out a long time ago, and Nabisco owned Sunshine Bakery, which does Cheez-It, and there's like it's like literally like 18 different companies bought out for certain products at this point. It's like all the
is Pepperidge Farm still independent?
I don't think so. Let me check. Let's find out. But anyway, continue talking while you're at it. Stuff you want to talk about. It turned into a High School Musical. That's what you wanted to talk about all along. You've been bleeding to talk High School Musical.
While.
You've been bleeding to talk about High School Musical over Christmas break.
Really?
No, I'm saying you have.
Oh, no.
I'm making fun of you.
I'm good to talk about movies for a little while, though.
Sure.
Like, yeah. Rounding off the High School Musical discussion, I just really don't like the movie. I don't like the first one. I've seen nothing about the second or third one that makes me actually think that I would like it. I have this kind of sick, morbid not fascination, but like interest in the TV spin-off Sharpay's Fabulous Adventure or whatever that one is.
That one is horrible within the High School Musical universe, but it is like it's a dumb Disney Channel original movie script that should have nothing to do with High School Musical. Like it's this weird other thing. Campbell's owns Pepperidge Farm.
Okay, who owns Campbell's?
Campbell's is the parent. Yeah, I checked. Okay.
Campbell's is not awful.
That's not terrible, but Campbell's owns like a billion other things. So
yeah, but it's not like BlackRock or anything.
Yeah, they're one of the like 6 companies that do American foods. It's ridiculous, but yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So if we want to talk about the American food system, we can get really angry really fast.
This isn't an angry podcast. This is a laughy podcast. We're talking about Sharpay's Fabulous Adventure and BlackRock.
Yeah. Yeah. Sure. That might be the first time that sentence has been said ever. We're talking about Sharpay's Fabulous Adventure and BlackRock. I did hear everything you said about it. You were explaining the plot, and I'm live on a podcast.
She can hop on, you know.
You can hop on.
You're always allowed.
You don't need to apologize. I'm just explaining why I didn't specifically react.
She is always open to every podcast because y'all are one flesh.
Joshua says you are always open to every podcast because we are one flesh.
And I'm not just saying that because you're talking.
But she is sick, and she doesn't care to be on the podcast.
That's perfectly fine.
Oh man! But yeah, I have a weird interest in that one because it seems so odd and off the wall and different from the rest of them that I'm like, I may give that one a chance at some point.
Sharpay is weird because she's so cartoonishly evil in the other ones, and then all of a sudden she's a protagonist in her own film. It makes no sense whatsoever, and that's why I love it, because it's like this is so obviously a completely separate script that they shoehorned into the into the High School Musical universe.
Yeah.
So, oh my goodness.
But yeah, I have no love for any Disney Channel original movies at all.
Oh, you need to see Can of Worms.
Can of Worms?
Can of Worms.
You heard of this one, love? Debbie has not even heard of this one.
This is before your time. One moment. I will read you the synopsis.
Oh, no. He's reading the synopsis.
DCOM synopsis. Okay, this is one of my favorite ones legitimately. A teenage boy named Mike Pillsbury, who believes he was left on Earth by aliens, sends a desperate plea into space after being humiliated at a school dance, only to have his wish granted when actual aliens arrive, creating a chaotic situation where he must now try to save the world from the very beings he called upon.
The plot of this movie is Guy wishes humiliated at a school dance, and so he calls on the aliens that he is convinced he was left on Earth by
to come take him away from this horrible place.
And so he has to save the world from the aliens that he called upon. Debbie wants to watch this one. I'm actually good with that. We do a Discord watch party sometime.
That would be really fun. No, but Can of Worms is really great because the two things they left out of that are all the aliens are wanting to adopt him, like take him away from his family. So like they're doing the family kind of thing. They're doing the sort of the Home Alone wish. Like, I wish I didn't have my family. I wish I didn't have my, right, whatever. And they want to destroy the earth after they take him away because they were so horrible to him and humiliated him at this school dance. And there's really legitimately scary, creepy puppets in it that are these aliens. Most of them are puppets. Some of them are different things, but yeah. Oh, it's okay. It is fun.
I'm always down for a movie with good puppets.
I mean, it's a B movie to a T, like a B movie, TV movie, like whatever, but it is funny and ridiculous. Also, older ones, Blank Check. Did you ever see that?
I actually think I have seen Blank Check. I didn't realize that was a Disney Channel movie.
That was early on when they started doing DComs, and then Smart House.
Yes, I've heard of Smart House. I've seen reviews of Smart House. I have no interest in watching Smart House.
Smart House is pretty funny, honestly. But yeah, so those are some of my favorites. I like a lot of the earlier DComs. Did you know that they did a 9/11 DCOM movie?
No.
Yes.
I refuse to believe that they made a 9/11 Disney Channel original.
They did. Let me pull this up. And synopsis. DCOM movie. Oh, okay. No, that's okay. That's not, that one's not it. Disney Channel. Hold on. Disney Channel original movie. I forget the name of it. Oh, okay. No, that's it. It's Tiger Cruise. Okay, no, it was okay. Okay, I'm confused. Maybe that's not it. Okay, hold on. What was this one called? Sorry, I'm having a hard time finding it because they got rid of it immediately.
That sounds about right.
No, it is Tiger Cruise. Okay. Apparently it was affected by the September 11th attacks. It says the movie is about a fictional cruise, the USS Constellation, that is returning from deployment in the Western Pacific when an attack occurs. The cruise is a Tiger Cruise for relatives of the U.S. Navy, Marines, USNAF, and includes a young girl named Maddie and her friends in military. Okay, so events. The passengers learn about the attacks, and the ship goes into high alert. Okay, so they did a movie about wait, it says it was inspired by real events that happened to the Constellation and by the September 11th attacks. I'm very confused about this.
I'm sorry, Joshua, did you expect a Disney Channel original movie to make sense?
Oh, Johnny Tsunami.
I feel like this was an error on your part.
Johnny Tsunami's pretty good too. That one's not bad. Yeah, that's just a very basic kid moves kind of story. Johnny
Tsunami.
He moves from Hawaii to like some snow lodge town up in the mountains and converts from surfing to snowboarding and deals with the stuck-up nonsense people who think that he's some kind of bum. So yeah, it's not terrible. It's just kind of a coming of age, whatever sort of thing.
Interesting.
Yep.
One sec. Let me see if I can throw you on speaker, and can I turn on the video?
Yeah.
Yes. One sec. I got to close Discord. It's acting up.
Sure, no problem. No problem. And while he's doing that, I'm going to see if I can figure out what this Tiger Cruise movie is about.
Discord is being kind of stupid. Every time I close it, it won't let me interact with any of the UI elements.
That's weird. Nice jammies.
Thank you. This was my Christmas present from Nana Jean and Papa John.
Gotcha.
My grandparents' mom's side.
Gotcha.
So, but no, as far as it goes, what was I saying? Disney Channel.
Expecting them to make sense.
Yeah. I just don't care. I don't care about anything Disney anymore. Which is a sad state of things.
I want the corpse so I can reanimate it.
Exactly. The problem is
they keep desecrating the corpse.
It's only in like stage 2. failure yet. There's
Yeah.
still a body walking around.
Yeah.
So we've got a while before it actually dies.
Oh, here's a movie thing that I learned recently that I think is cool that you'll like. Thinking of like companies and stuff and how they, come and go and all that other thing. Did you know that Rankin Bass was one of the main reasons Studio Ghibli happened?
No, really?
Yes. Topcraft was the Japanese animation company that they started outsourcing their animation to. And Topcraft eventually folded and then split into two companies, and one of them was Studio Ghibli. And without Rankin Bass, Topcraft would have folded earlier, and Miyazaki would have never had a chance with his buddies to get Studio Ghibli going.
Really?
Yep. So Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer has a direct effect, even though they didn't do the animation on that one. But Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer has a direct effect on Rankin Bass to make them a studio in the first place, to have the money to pay a Japanese company to give us My Neighbor Totoro eventually.
That is insane.
Yeah. It's pretty cool.
That's super cool, though.
Mm-hmm. Also related to that, Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer was written by a Jew, who was working.
I think I knew that.
He was working for, I can't remember, who was it? It was it's not Johnson & Johnson, but one of those style companies. Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, looking it up. It's a really cool story, like the origin of the Rudolph story, and the song and everything else. While I'm pulling that up, Gene Autry, had passed on the song until his wife said that she wanted him to do it. And Perry Como and what's his name? Not Sinatra. Anyway, bunch of people passed on it. Yeah, Crosby. They had all passed on doing the song because they thought it was stupid and terrible. And Autry was the only one who gave it a second look, only because his wife wanted him to do it.
Interesting.
Yep. It was a booklet by Montgomery Ward. Montgomery Ward, that's the company. Yeah. So Montgomery Ward actually had such a big surplus that year that they commissioned their copywriting team to create a creative Christmas project to give away to people in book form. And the man,
interesting.
I know, who does that anymore, right? And so they commissioned their team to come up with it, and it fell to this Jewish guy. I forget his name, but pull it up, might as well, since I had it up. Created by, what's his name? Robert L. May. And he created Rudolph, created the story. They put it out in book form, and eventually a bunch of people kept asking him about it, saying, "Hey, can we do more with this? We really want to get in on this and do more merchandise and things with this, because everyone's talking about it. It's selling like crazy. They love it." And he couldn't do anything because Montgomery Ward owned it, right? And so Montgomery Ward for a while didn't know anything about it, and someone had mentioned it to them, and they went, okay, we need to make this right. They called him into the office and gave him the rights to Rudolph outright. Because he was the one who created it, and they said, as long as you aren't leaving the company for a while, because we really do need you, then they signed a contract as far as that goes. But they signed over all the rights to Rudolph, and he and his family oversaw it all the way to Rankin Bass, to make sure that they had the full money for his work. They said, we never thought it would get to this level, and the good that it would do this company is not near worth the good that it would do you and your family. So yeah.
Dude, why can't we have companies like that anymore?
Well, we can. We're working on it.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, ask me what I've been thinking about and what I want to think deeper on. I've been diving down a rabbit hole of Breadtubers. Are you familiar with that term?
I am not.
Breadtube is leftist YouTube video essays.
Okay, so like bread lines.
Yeah, exactly. Yes.
Yeah.
That is where the term comes from.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, Breadtube. And by leftist, I don't mean like MSNBC.
No,
Or
the
even
libertarian
like the Young
leftists. Yeah, the libertarian
Turks.
leftists.
No.
Yeah.
I'm talking about like card-carrying members of the Communist Party.
Okay.
That type of leftist, like people
Okay.
who have read their Marcuse and their like Marx and their Gramsci and all that jazz.
Okay.
Those type of people.
Yeah.
I've been listening to them because life is suffering and I enjoy torturing myself. But in all honesty, I've been listening to them, their critiques of capitalism, and just trying to figure out their lingo and figure out like how they're internally staying consistent with like their understanding of racism and stuff like that.
And some do, some don't.
Some do, some don't. But I think that the philosophy behind it actually does have an internally coherent understanding.
Mm-hmm.
Like I was listening to this guy Lil Bill is his YouTube channel, and he was talking about racism in, I think, the WWE and like the like pro wrestling and the history of racism that they have there, and like
which
all
hilariously enough, most of that comes from the northern promotions and not the southern ones. But I digress.
But like super interesting video talking about like all the stuff around what Kofi Kingston, who just recently won the WWE belt and was like the first black man to win it as a.
That was a while ago, I think.
Yeah, Kofi like Kingston. A couple of years ago.
Yeah. Yeah. Go ahead.
All that jazz. He was the first one to win it as like the one that everybody was supposed to be rooting for, as opposed to
as a
baby face.
Yeah.
Was supposed to hate.
Yeah.
And so he was talking about that, but he said racism isn't necessarily being racist doesn't make you evil.
Okay.
Because racism is something that is ingrained into the entirety of the society and is something that is inherent in everyone, everywhere, at all times.
Okay.
It is the actions that you take because of this racism that is in you that make you a good or a bad person.
Okay, so how can you be racist and not evil? You go against your beliefs?
Yeah. Once again, like, I'm not sure that that's correct, but it is internally coherent. They're using racism in a different way.
Well, right, but how can you believe something like the straight up the incoherence is not so much in the logic, it's in the schizophrenia the schizophrenia of saying that you can believe something but act differently.
Well, the incoherence is that they're defining racism in a really weird way.
Mm-hmm.
The incoherence is in the definition, because the incoherent their definition of racism, I think, if you were to press them on it, would come down to something along the lines of the inherent biases that a specific culture has against people of other cultures as signified by against people of other cultures. That would be their definition of racism.
People who are different than me. Yeah, got you. Okay, so
exactly.
But I'm saying the definition of belief.
The definition of like,
right.
Yeah.
Well, I'm saying the definition of belief, right, is problematic there. Because if you believe something, you act upon it. If you don't really believe it.
Yes.
That's my whole point, right? And so you can have biases, this, that, and the other, and they're your beliefs, and you're going to act on them, even if there are some biases that override other biases. You're going to do the thing that you really, truly believe.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. But like as I said, I'm just trying to listen
I know.
and understand the language and how they're maintaining their structure. And also, have I ranted about how angry I am that the only people who are talking about the importance of architecture and urban planning are communists?
Yeah, you have.
The only people who are talking about it are communists.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
It infuriates me to no end. Because all the books about it are written by communists. All the YouTubers who are talking about it are communists. And it freaking annoys me that you've got all of these radical leftists whose answer to everything is more government intervention.
They're giving
And they're
the
the only
Anakin
ones who are
Skywalker.
talking about the importance of this.
Yeah, they're giving the Anakin Skywalker answers of, well, someone should make them. Right. Mm-hmm.
Exactly, yes.
And so here's the thing with that. I have seen a lot of stuff, you know, here's the big part that I think really everything comes down to. Everyone points to Reagan and goes, trickle down economics, one way or the other, good, bad, whatever. But the case is, it wasn't just trickled down. He gave tax breaks to not only the rich, but to a lot of poor people too. He gave tax breaks across the board. Now, he lifted a lot of restrictions that added to the benefit of the larger companies, but that was separate from the tax breaks. Everyone hears trickle down economics from a communist perspective, and they think you're being impartial toward the rich, right? Like you're favoring the rich over the poor because you think that the rich are going to help the poor.
Once again, I'm not accepting any of these beliefs as my own, but I do want to try to argue from their stand. I don't think that they would say that. I don't think that they're saying that it is specifically preferential treatment for the rich over the poor. I think that they would say that it is reinforcing the system of capitalism that we have, and capitalism as a system inherently, because of its view of value and money, or value and currency, and the conflation of the two, inherently favors the rich over the poor. So it wouldn't have to be malice.
It's not impartial for the sake of like favoring one group over another is not necessarily a bad thing in their viewpoint. It's the value of money over other forms of value that's the problem.
Yes,
I get that. But I'm just saying, like, they would say that trickle down economics is inherently the only reason it reinforces capitalism the way that they're talking about it is because it impartially favors the rich.
Yes.
Okay, that's the point that I'm getting at.
Because it's reinforcing the system, and the system favors the rich.
Right. So, in that regard, I would say the problem is not in the rich being reinforced the way that they're talking. The issue is in the heart of the CEOs.
Exactly.
Right? And so here's the thing that we don't have. We don't have the church preaching to everybody. We have people at all levels who don't have the church, who are not listening to the word of Christ, who are not being taught charity, who are not being taught the things that we talked about in the Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer story. But on top of that, we also have I don't think what they call capitalism, especially today, I would if I was to give one example of what they would call capitalism, right? I would argue that just as much the Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer story is capitalism as this next story. But one is inherently moral and one is inherently immoral based on the word of Christ. The second one is this. Back in the 90s, going back to wrestling, we had WWF at the time and WCW, and both creative heads and both CEOs. One was both Vince McMahon. He was both for his company. And Ted Turner, the owner for WCW, and Eric Bischoff, the creative head of WCW, wanted to literally end their competition.
Yes.
Because to them, the end game of capitalism is the end of competition.
Yes.
But the actual definitional basis in the earliest accounts of anyone really talking about capitalism is the furtherance of competition.
Yes.
And competition being inherently violent is something that really started to happen when people in the, I would say, 70s started to, when there was the big crash at the end of the 70s, people were thinking like there's only so much of a piece of the pie because we see these other companies going out of business. Right?
Yeah.
And so we started to play the game, the communist game, and it was reinforced by the communists of the zero-sum game, right?
Yeah.
You add the zero-sum game in, and immediately what do you get in the 80s and 90s? You get coke-filled crazy CEOs literally trying to end the livelihood of their rivals.
Yes.
And that didn't really stop, but it became out of vogue by the 2000s.
It didn't. No, it didn't ever stop at all.
No,
That
I'm
is
not saying it
still
didn't stop.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's still definitely the case. But I'm saying it's in the public eye, it's considered immoral. And so we've begun a weak evangelical pushback in the 2000s that was seconded by Judeo-Christian general family values people. And they realized if we go push too hard, we're not going to have a workforce.
Yep.
For these war machines that we've created.
Okay. So here's the issue that I'm struggling with.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I'm a capitalist. I don't think that I believe in capitalism as a system.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that I believe that it is the best way to take care of the most people.
Mm-hmm.
I know that I'm not a communist. I know that that's the worst way to kill everybody. Like
right.
That's how communism works.
Socialism is just
communism. Yeah, so socialism is just communism's cousin. So I'm not a socialist. I'm not an anarchist because I believe that God gave us governments.
Right.
And I'm not whatever the flip we are currently living in America now, because this seems like the worst of both worlds.
Yeah, it is.
Because we have like all
we're the Roman Empire. We're the Roman Empire trying to incorporate all the different viewpoints.
Exactly. We have all of the crap of socialism over here. Oh, look, you are forced to buy insurance. You are forced to do all of these things. You are forced to all this stuff. And there is no opt-out because we will take your property. There are no competition in America.
And there's no
property
competition.
Rights do not exist in America. And over here, we have mega corporations who are more powerful than God, for all intents and purposes, who are stifling all competition. And like I was watching a video from that guy that you recommended, Arkansas owns a game store.
Okay. Did I recommend that? Because I don't remember. Oh, Retro Rick.
Might be a different channel. Might be a different guy from Arkansas who owns a game store.
I think it's Retro Rick though. Retro Rick's Game Point.
Okay. He was talking about Amazon and how like the video title is What Brandon Sanderson's Stormlight Archive Taught Me About Owning a Bookstore. He was talking about Amazon and he said the Amazon price for Wind and Truth, the new Brandon Sanderson book that just came out, is $22.50. That is what I am buying it for. As a bookstore owner, that is what I am buying it for to sell it. They are selling it to you at not wholesale price, they're selling it to you at distributor price.
Right.
Because all of Amazon's money, percentage-wise, is coming not from their product sales. They are effectively the world's most insanely massive Sam's Club.
Yeah.
They are underselling the entire market by selling it for nothing or less than nothing.
Yep.
And then they are making all of their money through subscriptions.
Right. It's Costco model. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Exactly. It's the Costco Sam's Club model. Whenever you have a company that can do that, whenever you have a company that is so massively powerful that they can sell to everybody in the world for less than anybody else can, that stifles competition.
Right.
However, if you listen to all of the right-wing talking heads, which I've listened to probably unhealthy amounts of hours from, Steven Crowder, Ben Shapiro, Andrew Klavan, Michael Knowles, Matt Walsh, I can name them all, Glenn Beck. If you listen to them, they will say, but they are providing goods at the lowest cost possible to the most people. Therefore, in the long run, this is better.
Mm-hmm.
But the problem is that where is the flaw in that logic? Because I know that there is one, and I can sense one.
I got you. The flaw is this. It's further under the surface than you're thinking it is. Do you know about the honey scam that has come out recently? You know about that? Yeah. Honey and Amazon do the same thing. What they are actually doing is they are maximizing their profit revenue while eliminating competition. So for example, one of the big things that Amazon does is they give you much higher percentage royalties if you are exclusive to Amazon for audiobooks and for basically any digital media that you sell, right? And so if you want the right to actually publish elsewhere, you have to pay, essentially, right? And so that is against God's law. Because God says you should not, muzzle the ox while he's threshing. Essentially, this is a subcontractor for you. And you are saying, only work on my farm. You see what I'm saying? Like, they act like they own you, right? It's slavery. Okay? So this extends to Amazon's abilities with advertising, with profit boosting for companies where they do pay to play. Right? You have a product and you want to sell on Amazon, you do pay to play. With FBA, right? Fulfilled by Amazon, you know about FBA? Yeah. They do the same thing where they optimize it to a level that they can get to a certain point, and then they go, oh, but if you sell your morals and you become part of the company store, because that's what it is, it's a company store, which is a inherently communistic system, right? The idea of a company store, you know about those? Old West?
I feel like it's slightly more fascist than communist.
Fair enough, but it's in the same family of things.
Yeah.
And so the point overall that I'm trying to make is, if Amazon was just doing all the things that you said and not trying to undercut and funnel their third-party sellers and their customers into only shopping at Amazon, they would actually be just providing all those goods and services that all the conservatives talk about. That would be true. But the problem is they are cutting competition off at the legs, even through just owning and running AWS and pushing Google to modify things to where places that aren't AWS and not part of their big conglomeration plan aren't going to be supported as well in the web browsers and not going to have the certificates that they need for security purposes and encryption, et cetera, right? And so they're creating extra hoops to jump through that funnel you into
the cattle pen and slavery den of their version of capitalism. This is why I rail against the walled garden with Apple. The walled garden really does help in certain aspects of UI and, creative development, but they should be disableable. You should be able to go in and make it function as a basic Linux device, but they don't want that. Because the second you do that, you can develop something better than them. They are cutting off competition. You see what I'm saying?
Okay. I see what you're saying. I don't see how if Amazon were to not remove the higher percentage from media producers,
right,
and weren't kneecapping their third-party sellers.
Mm-hmm. AWS.
How would that, and you weren't that's just screwing with the market. That feels like
Right.
the FCC actually needs to step in and say, okay, that's not okay.
Right.
Like that feels like a legit FCC violation.
Right. Well, all of these things are monopolistic tendencies. And so I'm saying if they did not do those, there would be
necessarily wrong, though.
But there would be possibility for competition to Amazon at that point. Kobo,
but how does that help?
Right, go ahead.
How does that help the brick and mortar stores? They actually can't do that. Because even with all of the stuff that you're talking about,
right,
Amazon still has the capability, because they're a membership model, Amazon still has the capability to sell Win and Truth at $22.50 whenever that is the same price that all of the brick and mortar bookstores, all of the local bookstores, the people that actually you can know and become friends with, or the people who are trying to start their own businesses, we always want, we legitimately want people to do, they're still shooting those guys in the kneecaps.
Right. I understand what you're saying.
How do you stop? How does fixing the back end processes help that? Because the only thing I can think of is price controls, and I don't want price controls. That's a bad idea.
No. Yeah. As far as that goes, price is not the only thing in a capitalistic system that you are offering to your customers, and this is one of those things that they're talking about in these Breadtubers, right? They're saying that a presupposition of a capitalist system is that the only thing that is valuable is money. That is not true. Whatever you personally value in a capitalistic system can also be sold and commodified.
Yes. However, is it the struggle that the thing that I'm trying to deal with is that it seems like we have artificially in an actual, I'm going to say a free market system, not a capitalistic system, because I think that there might be
free market.
There might be some stuff under that. In an actual free market system, money is not the only thing that's valuable.
Right.
And money is not the only way that you can show value. In an actual free market system, you would be able to currency becomes much more nebulous. Currency is not cash. Currency is a much more nebulous concept in an actual free market system.
Right.
However,
down with the FDIC. Anyway.
Absolutely. On the internet, money is.
Money is what?
Correct me. Money is the only thing that matters.
No.
Because
information matters. Information matters. Otherwise, people wouldn't sell it.
Okay, your price. The price is the only thing that matters on the internet for 95% of people. Because I can buy the same thing on Etsy for $40, or I can go over to Amazon and buy it for $20.
Okay, so you're
Even
talking
Even
right.
me, who wants to support other people, who like, I don't like Amazon. Whenever finances are running tight, I have a really hard time paying twice as much for something.
Sure.
Just because it's more ethically sourced and better for everybody involved, including me, because I'm not helping support effectively evil.
Right. I'm following you.
But $20 versus $40 makes a compelling argument.
Mm-hmm.
And when push comes to shove, I'm probably going to go with the $20 one because I've got $120 left in the bank.
Mm-hmm.
On the internet, the price is king. In an actual real world, there are other factors.
Yeah.
That you have to consider. Because you can go to Barnes and Noble that has a $5 cheaper book, or you can go to local bookstore where you know the guy, where you know the couple that runs its name.
Right.
You like the environment there, and you can meet with people and all that jazz.
Mm-hmm.
In that free market, you have that. Whenever somebody, I don't know. Am I making any sense at all?
You are, and you're, but I would not say it's the end all be all. It is the strongest point, but that is partially due to a rough economy. And the rough economy is partially due to the fact that we have all these other regulations on things. Okay.
I agree.
And so if we had a bookstore, as far as competing on price, of course, nowhere's going to compete with Amazon right now, online or in person. I agree with you on that. And the only way that can change is if those other business practices that I've spoken about are stopped. Okay. For books specifically. All right. Amazon is going to have to charge more for people who want to sell everywhere, like Brandon Sanderson, right? Brandon Sanderson doesn't give a flip about Amazon. He doesn't give a flip about the extra 30% that you get by being exclusive. He sells everywhere. Okay. But Amazon,
I was watching a video that he did for Wind and Truth, Mistborn.
Mm-hmm.
His second book ever published, just like 3 weeks ago, hit the USA Today bestseller list. First time it was ever on there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he doesn't give a rip.
Yeah. And so as far as all that goes, my point is that if you legitimately have and can go anywhere to sell your book, that equalizes what the prices are going to be. Maybe not 100%, because some people are going to find ways to make it more efficient to get that book into the hands of the people. Okay. And some people are going to have more incentive to get that book into the hands of the people for less money. You see what I'm saying? But because Amazon they're going to say that everybody's going to have this book, we can make it cheaper and we can take the hit even into the Prime situation, right? They're just building essentially an insurance for themselves with the Prime. That's not necessarily bad in and of itself. The problem comes when they are saying, oh, to these little creators, right? These people who are trying to get off the ground. If you're just with us, we'll make sure that we'll do a little extra promotion for you, wink wink, and which they don't. And we'll give you extra royalties. It'll be wonderful, right? And so basically my point is, if there was equal measures, equal opportunity for actual royalties across the board, and it really was just whoever gets the book can sell it kind of thing, whoever the guy decides to sell with, he can negotiate that specific contract, right? There's going to be competition for, Amazon can come to the guy and say, we'll give you, that would actually incentivize Amazon to come to Brandon Sanderson and say, look, we'll give you 90% because we just need your book. You see what I'm saying? Brandon Sanderson
really
gets
good.
Right. Go ahead.
That's really good for Brandon Sanderson.
Right.
And that's really good for the people buying the book.
Yeah.
but that still is bad for the people who are trying to sell the book who aren't Amazon. Which is the class that I want to be in. I'm not aspiring to be Jeff Bezos. I just want to have my own small business where I'm making people happy and selling them stuff that they want.
Right. And so you need to either A, train them to like something other than Brandon Sanderson, which is totally doable. It's not the only product you can sell.
It's not.
The second thing is to make something more valuable than the cash that they would be spending there. Right. So they get the coffee house experience. They get local people. They have a chance to sell their own book, maybe. Right. And so you're offering more than just Wind and Truth. You have the ability to offer just more than Wind and Truth. My point is Amazon's going so far right now as to actually say that you can't offer XYZ on your website because we've decided with our network of ICANN and Google and all. Do you know about ICANN?
No, I don't.
ICANN. They are the people that the universal governing body over URLs. They are actually an international organization. And so they're the guys who own all of the URLs that you rent them from. All the people who developed Web 2.0, right? All the people involved in Web 2.0 and the pornpocalypse and everything else that came about. These are the same people with these business practices that they're doing with Amazon. Okay. So I'm saying if those go away, people will, and they already have, even without it, begun to value the prospect of going and getting something local anyway. Not everyone, but things have started to move that way because these things deregulate, over time, whether you fight it or not. But my point is, Amazon isn't a fair competitor because of these immoral business practices. Okay. You can't claim just because they're doing well in their moral business practices that they need to be taken down a peg until you remove the regulations and allow the little guy to actually take a swing at the giant.
Yes.
Right?
So the answer to all of the Breadtubers talking about capitalism is actually just all of your critiques are correct. But the way we fix it is not more government regulation. It is
immorality.
Remove all of the regulation and actually give us a free market.
Right. Morality. Yeah. Less immorality, more morality, based on a defined standard that has proven itself throughout time and history, even on a mechanical level, despite all of your, nonsense and emotional stuff. Right. The fact is, Christianity has made capitalism work. Communism hasn't worked ever by anyone trying it. Right. And even though capitalism has its problems, they've been fixable just about every time. You see what I'm saying? The only capitalist countries that have gone under are due to war and being crushed. And so the thing with that, like the whole giant swing analogy that I did just a second ago, right? We literally have thousands of people, these Breadtubers, riling up people going, you need to stop, giant. You need to stop crushing Captain America over here. Captain America keeps getting up again, keeps trying to fight. He keeps getting crushed. He keeps, et cetera, et cetera. You need to stop that. And everyone goes, yeah. But they're also the ones who put handcuffs on him a few seconds ago.
For regulation.
Right.
Yes.
You see what I'm saying?
Yes.
So maybe Captain America loses. Maybe Amazon crushes everything. But you should at least be on handcuffs so that Captain America can start swinging again.
Fair enough. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, that's my main thing. Are there godly regulations that you should put on things? Yes. I would argue specifically that any private corporation shouldn't have anything to do with governing web presence. In fact, I would say no national or international should have any web presence, because the internet is as valuable to society as the oceans and the poles. POLES, right? There are parts of the ocean that are governed by specific people because of bays and ports and stuff like that. But the reason no one's claiming the ocean, right? Like out in the middle, there are not neutral waters, right? Is because and there are neutral waters on American soil. You can't own the land that is the river, but you can own all the land up to the river, right? Just generally speaking. Are you following what I'm saying?
Yeah.
There is such a thing as public land and public things, and the one who has to declare that and protect it is the king. I would say that the internet should be internationally declared by all the individual countries as a neutral ground, and ICANN completely canned. And anyone trying to create a web protocol that isn't just a suggestion, but a regulation by law should be done away with entirely.
What do you do with porn?
That as far as that goes, you prosecute it on an individual basis, right? You cannot monitor someone in their own home. These are crimes that happen in the home, but you can turn someone in for it.
Okay. But you wouldn't have, like, there wouldn't be a way to remove it from the internet or even, like, section it off?
Yep.
Interesting.
That's the way I look at it.
The only way to remove it would be to unplug the server hosting it, or get the server hosting company.
No, you can say disseminating it inside the United States. If you can prove where it came from and who owns it, yeah, you can go after them.
Yeah. But that'd be a crime. That'd be a crime there. It wouldn't be a crime. Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. I want to get Braden's take on that because he knows a lot more about web stuff than I do.
Right. And of course, I'm talking idealist perspective as usual, you know.
Yeah. This isn't happening anytime soon. This is after the nukes have dropped and we're all reading the history textbooks and we're like, how do we fix this whenever we come up with the internet again?
Right.
This is how we fix it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So yeah,
okay.
my whole thing is the biggest boogeyman that no one's talking about, and it's because capitalists have taken away and free market people, regardless of whether they're capitalists or not. They are trying to, or they are not defending their core principle of deregulation.
Because,
and why it is good.
Unfortunately. Okay. Is this the difference between someone who believes in free markets, like I do, and a capital C capitalist? Is that
in a late 20th, early 21st century capitalist?
Yeah. I mean, I would argue that you have examples of this going back all the way to the Industrial Revolution. I would argue that the Pinkertons are basically just the enforcement arm of these capital C capitalists.
But that's through regulation 90% of the time.
Who?
It's capitalism plus regulation. My point with no, not the Pinkerton specifically, with the Industrial Revolution. The point of the thing that happened with the Industrial Revolution was giving unfair advantage to factories for real estate over homes and every other kind of business.
So you're saying that the Industrial Revolution would not have happened the way that it did if there wasn't preferential regulation towards the industrialists?
Yep. Because we were onward progress, make the city bigger.
And you don't think that that would have naturally happened?
In what way naturally happened? Explain that.
you don't think that it would have naturally grown, like that industrial sectors would have naturally grown and been at least what a lot of people thought was the only option, because that's what happened, is that a lot of country folk thought that the only way that they were going to be able to support their family was to go to the big city and get a job at a factory.
Right.
And so they moved to
Further
the
back.
city.
Okay, further back.
Yeah.
Before the factories were built, when the concepts of factories started trickling down, the only people who could afford to build factories were rich folk, and they had to buy their land. Okay?
Yes.
Land is available. They put it all together. They even pool funds and they create factories, and they push out the people who were in those areas on their lands and other things that were not this was where a deregulation problem was too much in the other direction, because there's two things here. There's regulation and then there's deregulation, both of which were not done properly. The deregulation aspect that was not done properly was environmental. So people were actually driven out of their homes because of the smoke and everything else that happened with the factories, as well as the evil factors that came in. And everyone likes to point to that side of things, but nobody points to the side as to, okay, who are we going to sell this land to? Let's say you have an equal bid on a piece of property in a city from a private individual and another who wants to build a factory, and a private individual who wants to build a farm. The preferential treatment comes when the people who are not private, the government who actually owns the property, this is the King's Land in England particularly,
which is where the Industrial Revolution got started, so it's fair to start there.
Right. They would say, we want the factory more than the farm. Right? They are making preferential choices on a large scale toward this versus that. And it doesn't mean that you can never sell to what you want. I'm saying totally sell to what you want.
I was going to say, isn't the Crown acting as a private entity at that point? Like they're saying, we want this, and so you would actually have to regulate them and say you have to preference, like you would have to regulate private entities, private landholders, and say you have to preference residential.
Well, that did happen. Well, that did happen. There's specifically industrial. They would say, but I'm saying non-private landowners, particularly the Crown, because in England, technically, I think to this day, most land is technically of the Crown, but you lease it for like 9,000 years or something like that. And then if you pass away, then it reverts to the Crown and then they resell it. Yeah. Right. And so basically my point.
That is correct.
Right. And so my point is that the issue comes when any particular governing body is making zoning style preferential treatments to willfully enact the kind of city that they want, instead of being a servant to their people, a minister to their people, and a protector to their people, and letting the people create the land. Okay?
Okay.
Because if it's theirs, and this comes back to this, if it is the king's land, then yeah, he has, if that's the law of the land, I think this is a wisdom thing a little bit. If the king legitimately has eminent domain, right, then he's the one who has to decide what to do with it. But I would argue eminent domain is not biblical.
I would agree.
Okay. You should own. See, this might be where we
in
might.
In America, I agree. In America, I don't think eminent domain is biblical. In England, I think that it. In England, I think that it might be because of the history of England.
How can something be biblical in one country and not in another? I'm confused about that.
In the same way that Paul tells people to follow the cultural understandings of modesty.
Okay, so it's not that it's a biblical matter at that point, it's a cultural matter.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying. Like, it
All
can be
right.
biblically permissible to do one thing in one country and another thing in another country,
Right. Okay.
is what
So
I'm
that
saying. And
so
I
that
think based off of the culture of England, specifically with the history of the crown, whether or not the crown is still uh, a rightly authoritative institution, which is stuff that you've talked about before. That's a different question. But I think if you are looking at the history of the British monarchy going back to
Alfred.
Alfred, I think that eminent domain in Britain makes sense because the crown does hold the land. It was fairly, I believe, I could be wrong on this, I'd be willing to be corrected. It was fairly acquired by the crown hundreds of years ago,
Mm-hmm.
and it hasn't been removed from the crown since then. I'm sure some of it has, but most of it hasn't been. If that's the case, then the crown does have rights over it.
Right. Okay. So you're talking in regard to current possession, not in regard to an ideal theonomic perspective.
Yeah.
From the ideal theonomic perspective in this regard, and I agree there are times and places to be incremental about things. But as far as the pure theonomic perspective, I think imminent domain is the same as saying that no property is real. You know, I really do. And I mean any property, not just land. You can make the case that everything is the king's if you can say that land is the king's.
In a hypothetical society where everything started out as
Yep.
not the king's and it wasn't acquired, I would agree. Yes, absolutely. And I think that's why it's absolutely wrong in America, because in order for it to work in America, you have to make the claim that all of the land is the property of the United States government or the Oklahoma state government. And that's not a claim that you can justify according to the American standard of common law.
I believe that there are lands. I believe that there are lands that should be declared and should remain permanently public. I do believe in that. I think that's scriptural, right? Commonwealth. Exactly. Yep. But I believe that the actual possession of land, possession of possessions, and that sort of a thing is a purely biblical thing, right? And that necessitates a subordinate feudalism.
Okay.
You follow me?
Yes.
Okay. And so we have covenants. We have layered covenants, right? And the king has one covenant, the prince or president, and it's the same covenant ruler. Now, they might spread out those responsibilities in that office to multiple people, just like a church spreads out to multiple elders. Right? I think that's a good biblical principle. Share the responsibility of an office so that both one man doesn't get corrupted and everything goes to crap, and two, for the sake of the man, that he doesn't have to bear all of that. Right? Yep. Doesn't mean you need a giant state government ridiculousness that we have now. I'm not talking about that. I don't think that was wise at all either, because now you're trading one tyrant for multiple. But the point being, a representative has a covenant with his people to do what? Protect their stuff. Protect the people's stuff. And that includes land. And I believe that takes away all right of the king for zoning outside of the protection of human life. Human and animal life, I'd say. Right?
Uh-huh.
Do you agree, disagree?
I think I agree with you.
Mm-hmm.
I think that I agree with you. I think that gives a good... solid basis for protecting property rights limiting the power of entities that have historically taken too much of it,
Mm-hmm.
but also not having. It's a good framework to prevent anarchism.
Right. So let's say you have a king, president, who's dealing with a giant feudal lord, Bezos.
Fair
Okay.
enough?
What can he do when he can't nail the guy on his immoralities? Because of either a bad legislature or because of not enough proof. But it is clear that people are getting hurt. Companies are going under. There's clear evidence. You can try him, have a real trial for the feudal lord, and if he acquiesces to it and pleads his case, good on you. You can declare war and go to war with all the feudal lords that you got with you, or you can declare exile and potentially go to war anyway. I believe what Amazon is doing is an exilable offense, and I'm not talking about exiling Bezos. I'm talking about exiling Amazon as a United States corporation.
Basically,
Revoking all business license. Make it illegal for them to do business until they repent of what they've done. And here's the list. What they're doing to TikTok.
what is Amazon doing to TikTok?
No. What the United States government is doing to TikTok.
Oh. Yeah.
Those are courses of action that you can take in those situations. And the other feudal lords in your system who you're supposed to be protecting their stuff too, the ones who are these small business owner shops, can say, yeah, repent or face our wrath. We're with the government. We're with the king. We have little pieces of that still happening because of the Scots-Irish ancestry of everything that we have, because Geneva and Scotland are the most influential governments that we have on the United States, even more so than England. You can see little bits of that happening. The problem is they're ineffectual and everyone is really not wanting any kind of conflict. And they think that corporations are inevitable. But if Trump tomorrow, when he's in office, first day, goes, Jeff Bezos, all you people at Amazon, you're killing businesses. You're killing all these mom and pop shops. This is ridiculous. And here's a list of things you need to repent of. And you can come to trial or you can be exiled. I think that's legitimate. I do. Now, if the people say it isn't legitimate, like with TikTok, then you've got a regulatory force there. Trump's talking about he's contacted the Supreme Court and said, hey, can we wait till I get in office to talk about this again? He's already said that about TikTok. Right? And so my whole point with this thing is that there's a legitimate bully pulpit there where you can say, hey, you aren't behaving. We're going to throw the book at you and you're not going to be a company anymore. I do think the king has the say to say you can't sell bread because you're poisoning people. That's legit, right? Now, he can't just say you can't serve bread because you draw funny faces of me and frosting on them. He can't do that. He tries to do that. The people rebel. Covenants break and move and shift. And there's a regulation that happens. Right? That's the way it's supposed to work. That's the way it's working with TikTok. Regardless of what you think of TikTok. He's thinking. He's thinking, folk. Should I end it or should we continue on? Do you have stuff to say? You're muted.
Yeah. Yeah, I think we should end it there. I need to get to bed and I have a lot more to think on now.
Soapbox! Any which way. All right, people, be your family's bard. Do not turn to the right or to the left, and the Lord will be with you wherever you go. We'll see you next time in the trenches on Poets at War. And the Burnt Marshwiggle outro starts going, and I should have said it while it was fading up, but you know, we're learning.
Awesome.
Marshwiggle, still standing strong in a world of doubt. I'll keep marching on. Faith over fiction, hope over fear. Even in darkness, Narnia's still here.
This has been Burnt Marshwiggle, hosted by Joshua David Ling and Alexander Robertson. A long-form podcast about metaphysics and swampy stuff. Whenever the heck they want to make one. Here on the Poets at War Creative Network.